Hi everyone, and welcome to another session of OnKey How To with Mike Els. Today's topic is conditions. So conditions is a feature in OnKey that allows us to manage the circumstances in which assets operate and also the factors that influence its functionality. Right, so with conditions we can impact the task frequencies. We can make tasks appear or not appear, and we can also make tasks more frequent or less frequent. Right, let's take a practical example to explain this a little bit better. Let's say I've got two bicycles, they are exactly the same. The one bicycle I'm using for competitions, and the other bicycle is just for leisure riding. Now I've got a task on my bicycles to inspect the outer tire wear of these bicycles. Now, it's very important that the competition one I inspect quite regularly because I do not want to slip and fall due to a slippery or a worn tire during competition. But obviously my leisure bicycle, I don't push to the extremes and I typically ride just on tar roads already. The grip is a lot better. Right, so how do I maintain it? So I still need to inspect the outer tire wear on both bicycles. But for the competition one, I need to do it a lot more frequent. And for the leisure one, I can do it less frequent. Right, so we can make use of conditions and have some condition like the purpose of the bicycle, and we can apply adjustment percentages to this specific inspection, resulting in the competition bike being inspected more frequent than the standard recommendation from the tire company, and my leisure bike I will inspect less frequent based on or compared to the standard recommendation from the tire company. Right, let's go to OnKey and actually have a look how we can set this up and what we can do with it. We can set up different condition types, and you can see the grouping here. I've set up in my version condition types for climate, purpose, rider weight, temperature exposure and terrain. And then for each one I can set up different conditions. So under purpose I've got a leisure or competitive, and that I'm going to use later on my actual assets. I can configure my asset that this is a competitive asset or a leisure asset, or I'm actually a extra large guy, I'm a lot more heavy, so obviously things like my bearings and those type of things will need a little bit more attention. So then I have conditions regarding my rider weight and my size, and I can configure that on my asset. Right, and then you can see if we open it up, that's my condition that I've set up. I can put in my adjustment percentage, and then I've got some options, either apply that percentage onto my interval, bring the interval earlier or later. I can disable a full task also if I want to. Good, then we can go to our asset type tree. Remember, we always try to manage it from the asset type tree. So on my asset type tree, let's say I've got a triathlon bike. On my triathlon bike, I will specify what is all the possible conditions that can apply to a triathlon bike. Remember, this is not the asset. On the asset, we are going to specify exactly out of the rider weight, where do I slot in? On the terrain, what type of terrain will I do? For now, we're just listing all of the possible conditions that I would want to select from an asset. Right, and then on my actual tasks, I will also select the conditions that's relevant to this specific task. So the conditions, there I've said those are the two conditions that applies to my check tire thread wear, either leisure or competitive. Depending on which one I select on my asset, it will affect my interval in a certain way. Right, now over to my asset tree. This is where my actual bicycles are sitting, the physical bicycle. And if I open up again my triathlon bike and I go to conditions, you will see there's the full list of conditions that we had based from the asset type tree. The next step is that we must specify what is the active conditions. I need to specify, is this now leisure bike or a competitive bike? For this example, I have chosen competitive bike. Now if I go down to my task, again is to check tire for thread wear. Again, I'll just show you conditions. So those are typically the conditions that applies, but we have selected competitive. So it's the competitive condition. It's going to make a change with the interval on this task. Let's go to scheduling. This is a yearly task, so standard, no conditions applying. Every 336 days we'll get this task. Now down here is a little tick box. If I say now allow conditions, now suddenly it starts pulling through all of that information I've configured. It pulls through the changes that I've brought in that I want to apply on the interval. If I say save, and if we go back up to the days, it's not 336 days anymore. It is now every 315 days that I need to check the wear of my tire thread. Similar, this is how you're going to do it with your performance car. You're going to apply a percentage. Instead of every 50,000 kilometers, you're going to apply it and maybe maintain it every 10,000 kilometers. Obviously, you need to go and work out all those percentages so that it still makes sense within the environment that your equipment operates. I hope this helps. If you've got more questions about conditions, pop it into the comments section. Thanks for joining on Key How To with Mike Els.